This interview is brought to you by Burn Up Coaching and the 21-Day Challenge. And if you are committed to exploding your results, if you've been plateaued, if you've been stuck, spinning your wheels, vaguely dissatisfied, unhappy, then let's reignite that passion and self-belief and clarity and execute on a strategy that will get you to your number one priority, your number one goal in 21 days. That's what the 21-day challenge is for you. What is most important for you? We're going to accomplish that in 21 days. And you'll have daily check-ins, weekly deep dive calls so you can discover more of yourself and uncover the limiting beliefs, the sabotaging, the paradigm that does not serve you so you can choose a new one and become even happier, even more fulfilled, and even more of your greatest possible self. So that's the 21-day challenge. If that sounds interesting to you, then send me a message and let me know. And we'll see if it's a good fit for you. I'll send you over an intake form, and it will be a lot of fun, definitely. And it's very intense, so it's not for everyone. But if it sounds like it's for you, send me a message and an email, or an email. The iTunes review of the week is from Bree Seeley. Chris is a brilliant light in the world. His energy and enthusiasm is palpable. So grateful he started this podcast to share it with more people. Thank you so much, Bree. And if you are someone who wants to grow yourself, stay tuned to these episodes. Stay tuned to the marathon, to the podcast. It's so much fun. And as far as leaving us a review, we always appreciate that. And you can do that by going to beyourgps.com/iTunes to visit our iTunes link. Go to us in the iTunes store. And then you can also search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on iTunes and find us there as well. So that's a great way to get a hold of us and leave a review. Also, if you want to look on Facebook, you can do it there as well. And go to Facebook and search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Let's dive into the topic of the hour. First of all, the theme is reflection, so we'll dive into that. And then the topic this hour is how to supercharge yourself with your own internal high-octane fuel. Okay? Supercharging yourself with your own internal high-octane fuel. Let's start off with reflection. Why did I choose this theme? Well, I came up with the theme, funny enough, because this marathon is on 8-1-1-8. And I was going to do palindrome, which is it's the same way forward as it is backward. So it's 81-1-8, 88, 81-18, or 8-1-1-8. So, right, it's a palindrome. It's the same way backwards and forwards. It's the same thing if you have 7-1-7-1-7. So either way you flip that, it's the same way back and forward. Same thing with race car. Race car? Race car? Yes, race car. I was like, wait, is it really? Yes, it is. Race car is the same backwards and forward. If you flip it around, race car is still race car. Really, really cool. It's a trip. It's a mind trip. Anyways, that's what a palindrome is. So I wanted to create that as reflection. And then I wanted to do palindrome, but I was like, it's a little esoteric, or I guess not applicable enough to life and to wisdom and to greatest possible self. So I came up with reflection, and we created reflection as the theme. So for me, why reflection is important, and I've been asking the guests this all day long, why reflection is important to me is because it is essential for me to become my greatest possible self. The times when I was not forwards, it's the same chin. And then let's turn off that sound. Travis says, I need a calculator. Hey, Chris, back in Santa Monica, and I'm in love with life. I love it, Amy. Love it, love it, love it. So we're talking about reflection today. I just turned on my phone. I was like, oh, wait, I'm not even checking into the comments yet because I use a telestreaming software called Wirecast. It's awesome. So this reflection is so critical to me being my greatest possible self because in my past, when I thought I knew everything, when I was just going balls to the wall, just taking action, just trying to feel something, trying to fit in, trying to get to my next point, my next objective, get to my next high, get to my next party, get to my next thing, I was not reflecting on what I was doing, what life was providing for me. And it caused a lot of suffering, a lot of disconnection. I hit rock bottom. I wound up in jail, and luckily the charges were dropped. The case was dismissed, but it was really my wake-up call that I was being a disappointment. It was like I didn't take the time to reflect up until this point of rock bottom. And if I had simply reflected and had a process, had been taught a process, had the discipline of reflecting, is this serving me? Is this moving me towards where I want to go? Is this really who I want to become? I had no concept about greatest possible self when these things were happening. But if I had reflection and knowing what questions to ask, then I might not have found myself in that situation. So reflection is the ability to look at the past, and there's also the reflection of your internal to your external, which is a similar concept. But the reflection of thinking, of pondering, of being curious about your past so you can analyze it, so you can grab the wisdom and change your course and shift your direction moving forward. If you don't do that, you are bound to keep repeating the same mistakes. So a lot of the lessons of history could be integrated more effectively with that reflection. But since we're not taught to really think and reflect, we're simply taught to memorize, we don't really take that information, the history of the past, especially hundreds of years ago, millennia ago, we don't take that information and apply it oftentimes. That's not what we're taught to do. We're taught to memorize. So with greatest possible self, we want to integrate that information. We want to utilize that information. And how we can do that is by looking at the last week, the last month, the last year, and saying what got accomplished, what worked, what didn't work, what would I do differently next time? How would I change this week if I could change this last week? How would I have changed things? What would I have done differently? So that's a really important question to ask so that you can plan your upcoming week and your next steps effectively. It will help you get to your destination, your goal or dream of fulfillment, of joy, of happiness, of earning the income that you want, of living in the house that you want, of finding or attracting or creating the man or woman of your dreams. It's all possible through reflection, through awareness, self-awareness, and shifting into new patterns, habits, actions, thoughts, feelings, which lead to results. Thoughts lead to feelings, which lead to actions, which lead to results. So starting at that level, you get to reflect on your thoughts. You get to reflect on your feelings. What did I feel? How was that? You get to reflect on your actions. What actions did I take that produce my results? You get to reflect on your actions, which produced your results. So reflect on those results as well. And being able to have that time, they talk about you want to work on your business as well as in your business. A lot of people are tactical working on their business. Michael Gerber talks about it in the E-Myth. A lot of people are tactical working in the business, putting out fires, baking the cake, serving the client. But oftentimes working on the business is put on the back burner, which is the business development. It's the business strategy. It's how you get to the next level. It's how you don't keep staying in that hamster wheel of whatever you've done to get to wherever you are. You find out, what do I have to do to get to where I want to go, the next level. So that mindset of working on your life rather than in your life is super critical, and that brings up reflection. So it's super, super important. Let's dive into this internal fuel, okay? Supercharge your life with your own internal high-octane fuel. How do you do that? Well, honestly, it started for me. My life was not supercharged. In fact, it was super toxic. My life was super toxic when I was in high school, because what I was doing is I was seeking validation. I was seeking love outside of myself. I was trying to prove that I was enough. I was desperate. I was generating toxicity through my desperation, through my fear, through my anxiety, through my hunger to be loved, feeling like I was not enough, feeling like I was unworthy, feeling like I was less than, a victim. And that created toxicity in my life. What does that mean? It looks like me partying. It looks like me only wanting to play video games, staying locked in my room. I didn't want to go outside, didn't want to hang out with friends. My parents forced me to do that. I didn't want to do those things because it made me feel less than. I was like, I want to go play video games. I'm powerful and able to control things in video games, and I get celebrated in video games. I'm the freaking hero in the video games. All the NPCs, the non-playable characters, the people who you don't control and who are just like in the game, they come up and they celebrate you and they acknowledge you and they send love and thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. And I just wasn't getting that in my life. at least to the level that I wanted or expected or thought it was supposed to be, how I was attached to it happening. So through that, I found these outlets of my frustration, of my disappointment, of my pain and my suffering, which often led to me getting in trouble. Okay, so that was growing up. That was that source of dissatisfaction leading to toxic habits and toxic things, and that was fuel. That was toxic fuel. That was like, I don't want to say corrupting me, but it was attracting to me and creating results in my life that were not what I wanted. You put bad in, you get bad out. Put bad thoughts, bad processes, unhealthy running, hiding, avoiding, numbing. If you put that in, if you take those actions, you're thinking those thoughts and feeling that way, you're going to get that in your environment. And that's what I got in my environment. I got situations and circumstances where I felt like I was trash, where I felt like I was weak, where I felt like I was a victim, where I felt like, why does this have to be this way? Why does life suck so much? So fast forward, I learn about this thing called self-care and self-love, dropping off all the toxicity in life. That's right. 100%. Oh, by the way, I'm going to share this. Share this to group. By the way, share this. If you're liking this conversation, share this ish. This is gold. This is gold. So, so this it was super toxic fuel that I was putting into myself. Fast forward, and I start learning about awareness of myself. I start learning about what I need to take care of myself. What is self-care? What is self-love? What is this thing where I actually am able to fuel myself? How do I do that? I've been looking for money. I've been looking for women. I've been looking for partying. I've been looking for, my next high. I've been looking for buying things. I've been looking for video games to fulfill me. I've been looking for people to tell me that I'm good enough, that I'm worthy. I've been looking all around the outside of me, and that desperation created energy inside of me, which was fueling me, which was toxic. So how do I shift that? How do I shift that external desire of looking for things outside of myself, looking for fuel outside of myself, never being able to truly fill myself up and fuel myself to the level that I knew I was capable of, or that my spirit, my soul knew I was capable of? How do I flip that? How do I reflect what I want on the outside to be what I want on the inside? See, when I felt not enough on the inside, I felt everything outside wasn't enough either. Everything that I had tried and all these strategies, all these things, all these techniques, even though at that point I didn't even know about personal development, but even getting into personal development, I was still seeking outside of myself. I was still like, what's the next thing? Who's the person, who's the partner, the business partner who can make it all better, who can, help me, teach me, and basically do it all for me? And that's what I was always looking for. And it led to me being super unfulfilled and struggling for years and years and years and years. And I didn't like being an entrepreneur because it was so difficult. I didn't like who I was being. I didn't like how I showed up. I didn't like how I felt. Have you ever felt like that? Because I did. Now, I didn't know that I had to go ask for help and to work on myself and develop myself and to train myself to think different thoughts and to show up as a different person, to show up as enough, to show up as loving myself. I didn't know that. So I was looking outside of myself for strategies, for things, for people to fill me up. And it never worked. And then one day, I woke up. I woke up and I discovered that the answer is not outside of me. Let me tell you a secret. You have everything that you need within you right now. And it's up to you to recognize that, to see it, to validate it, to acknowledge it. Because no amount of acknowledgement outside of yourself will ever be enough to fill the void of whatever decision that you made when you were younger, that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not tall enough, you're not whatever enough. No amount of external things will ever fill that up. So I learned, and one day just like finally clicked. I'm sure I heard it many, many times in personal development, and I'm sure you've heard it many, many times. But one day it clicked that I am enough. That all I have to do is be me. All I have to do is love myself and acknowledge myself and celebrate myself. And even on the marathon, this 12-hour marathon, it started about 1.5 years ago in February. And with the marathon, I started this habit of doing regular reminders every hour. And I started that way, way back when it first started. But I don't know when I started this specific habit. But at a certain point, I started saying there's 3 outcomes for everyone involved. Number 1, for you in the audience, you take a step in the right direction, you become your greatest possible self. Number 2, each of the special guests who come on the show, they make a meaningful difference in at least one person's life. Most likely many, many more, and it all starts with one step at a time. And then outcome number 3 is that I make a meaningful difference in at least one person's life throughout these 12 hours. And after hour 1 or 2, enough people had jumped on. I had calls, I had coaching, I had whatever else, interactions, and people saying thank you and getting value from the conversation, that I knew I had at least impacted and made a meaningful difference in one person's life. Now at that point, I can say, well, it's just one person, and someone just came on and, they listened to the conversation, they said thank you. So what? And I think with social media, it's easy to get caught up with the quantity rather than the quality. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by getting caught up with the quantity rather than the quality? With the quantity, we're hungry and yearning for, it's like literally programmed in our brain. We get dopamine every time we see a like, we see a heart, we see a comment, we see a share. So we're trained to want more and more and more of those. And some people, most people I would say, get caught up in that game so much that they forget to celebrate the one like, the one comment, the one share. I have done this too. I totally own that. And I'm grateful that I have a new perspective on it. I have the perspective to say, okay, that's what I used to do. Now what do I want to do? I want to celebrate each and every one. And I started sending video messages thanking people for their engagement, every single engagement on my page and on my posts. And I'm not able to get around to all of them, but I do it as often as I can. Going back to the self-acknowledgement, I started clapping for myself after I said, I impacted your outcome for the audience, second outcome for the guest, third outcome for myself. And I started clapping for myself, and I started giving myself a round of applause, right? Like literally giving myself a round of applause. And round of applause, and yay, and smiling, and it feels great. And then a pat on the back, and then I do like an anchor, a touchdown, like a yes. And I give myself a pat on the back. And it's such a great reminder to acknowledge myself. And I'm so grateful I get to do it like 10 times in a 12-hour marathon, because it's so powerful. It's so amazing to acknowledge ourselves. And since I started doing that habit, I've noticed start to love myself and enjoy myself more. I have more peace and more certainty, more clarity on where I'm going, knowing that we're getting there, knowing that we're making progress, knowing that we get better and better guests on the show all the time. Business coaching is growing, getting more clients. It's awesome. And I start attracting people who reflect that back to me too, namely my girlfriend. Shout out to you. You are freaking awesome. The butterfly queen. Butterfly goddess. Amazing. Anyways, I'm just so grateful because I attracted my girlfriend into my life, and she is the most powerful freaking mirror of self-love and reminding me how enough I am, how worthy I am. And I could not have attracted her unless I had started doing this work on myself, unless I had let go of the attachment of needing the approval and the praise and the acknowledgement to come from someone else. If you're waiting for it to come from someone else, you'll be waiting a long time. I decided to take matters into my own hand and fuel myself up with my own super fuel, my own super burning joy and love and appreciation that fills me up more than I can even realize. Because it typically doesn't happen in the moment. Although you might have a breakthrough of self-love and, looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm proud of you for showing up today. I'm proud of you for how you handled that situation. Or even, I forgive you, looking at yourself in the mirror. I forgive you, Chris, for not showing up how you were supposed to show up. Chris, I forgive you for dropping the ball on that. I forgive you for not following up. I forgive you for not being there for your girlfriend like you know you're capable of being. Or even, Chris Burns, I commit to you. I commit to you that I'm standing up for what I believe in from now on. I commit to you that people who are committed to being their greatest possible self, deep down in their soul, inside, they will know that there's people like them and that they have hope, that they have people to talk to, that there's resources available to them because of you. And I'm grateful that I can say those things to myself in the mirror, and I can fill myself up with those habits, with those disciplines, filling my own tank up so that I have more than enough to give to others. Because I tried it. I tried giving from a freaking empty tank. I tried it, and you know what happened? What did I create in my life? I created lots of potential clients and leads of people who were desperate, people who were in just this really, really terrible situation or challenging situation, or I don't have money, or I'm not ready, I'm too afraid, I don't have clarity, I'm not willing to do the work, whatever, right? All these kinds of excuses and projects, and people who were desperate but weren't willing to do the work or weren't able to step up, had too many blocks. I attracted these people. And go figure, when I was attracting those people, my business wasn't growing. Or if it was growing, it would grow and then it would collapse. It would grow and then it would collapse. And it was this freaking yo-yo of emotions and thinking, yes, awesome, I finally am getting momentum. I'm finally turning things around. And then the very next month, boom, like a client falls off the radar and disappears. And it's like, dude, Chris, what is going on? And it's because I still, back then, hadn't done the work. I hadn't done the work in myself to start attracting and creating the things around myself that would fill me up even more, that I could overflow into and receive even more joy. So how about you? How's your life being fueled? How are you being fueled? Are you fueling yourself? Are you acknowledging yourself? Are you giving yourself that self-love? Because if you're not, I want to say I invite you, but that is not nearly strong enough. I want to say I command you, but it's not my right to command you. I strongly, strongly urge you to build the habit of nurturing yourself, soothing your own soul. Because when you do, life begins to transform. And don't do this as a mechanism. Don't do this because Chris said I should. Do it because you are committed to giving yourself the love that you've always been looking for. You are committed to not relying on external things and sources to fuel you, to give you pleasure, to give you love, to give you appreciation, to give you a sense of gratitude and satisfaction of who you are. So now that I've recognized that and I started these disciplines and have continued with them for months and years to be able to be the person that I am today, now I get to say, you know what? Which I never said this before. I always wanted to work with people who were behind me, who were struggling in business, who didn't have anything figured out, who I could come and rescue. Because I was like, I am so far ahead of them that of course I'm going to be able to help them. But oftentimes they were so far behind me that I wasn't able to actually make a difference because they didn't have the resources. And it left me feeling used. It left me feeling like something was wrong, like I'm doing something wrong, like I'm broken, like I keep attracting these people who suck at life and aren't willing to get with the program. Right? That was the past. And now what I create is awesome, amazing clients who are crushing it. You know, one of my clients is the number one Yelp restaurant owner of the number one restaurant on Yelp in the United States. Him and his family own this restaurant. And it's like, what? Like, how do I get that guy? How did I create this person? How I created him is because I started loving myself enough to attract him. I started being confident enough in my ability to support people, even if I wasn't necessarily at their same level, at the level of their income, at the level of their beauty and attractiveness, at the level of their wisdom and experience in certain areas of life. And so I started taking on this belief that people who are smarter than me, faster than me, better than me, more equipped, have more experience, have more adventures and travels and lifetimes of resources to draw on, these people hire me. Why? Because I know who I am, and I love who I am, and who I am is a stand for people to become their greatest possible self. So how does that impact people who are around me? Well, shoot, they become their greatest possible self. Just by essence of being in the same room as me, people are impacted energetically. Let alone in a conversation with me, people are uplifted and transformed into their possibility. Let alone in a longer-term coaching agreement and relationship, people's lives get so much clarity, get so much transformation, get so much fuel because of who I empower them to be, that they are enough, that they fuel themselves, that they are loved, that they already have everything that they need within them. So here's my invitation to you, is you can create anything that you want. You don't need to have it all together to show up and support the people who you know you can support. But what you do need to do, what you must do is learn how to fuel yourself. Learn how to fuel yourself from within. Now, oftentimes that takes external habits. It looks like doing mirror work. It looks like doing the personal development, the reading. It looks like uncovering the limiting beliefs, having a conversation with a coach like myself. And if you want to have a conversation, send me a message. I love empowering influencers and people who are up to big things. It gets me freaking going. I'm fired up. So if that's you, send me a message. And regardless, you have the obligation, the duty to own your gifts, to own your dream, to own the impact that you are able to have on the people around you. Because whether you realize it or not, the people around you are noticing what you're doing. They're watching you. They're studying you. And if you said that you're going to do something and then you don't follow through, people notice. And if you said you're going to do something and you are totally isolated and practically nobody knows who you are or what you do and you're not involved in many communities, people are still noticing. You want to know who's noticing? The people who are suffering with the problem that you can go out there and solve, that you have the solution to, that you have the answers to, that you have the wisdom, the experience, or even the audacity, the drive, the ingenuity, the innovation, the dream, the aspiration to become good at something. So let's say you suck at computer programming right now, but you want to develop some kind of application or website or something service, and you have no idea how you're going to get there. Do you think that just because you don't know how to do those things and you don't take action on it, that nobody really cares, nobody really notices, doesn't really make a difference? No, BS. Because your greatest possible self who would have executed on that idea and at least taken steps to start working on that and building it and getting the skills and abilities and knowledge to create that, that greatest possible self is on the path to do that. And eventually, with persistence and perseverance, you will get there. And that greatest possible self will be fulfilled because they did the work. because they took the steps, because your greatest possible self loved yourself to persevere through challenges, through obstacles, through doubt, through scarcity, through survival. Your greatest possible self persevered enough, and guess what that greatest possible self is doing? Most likely solving a lot of people's problems, bringing solutions, bringing service, bringing innovation, bringing beauty, bringing love, bringing light, bringing joy to the world of the people around them, whether it's the people on their team, right? Imagine this, like you're your greatest possible self. You are not a silo. You're not alone. If you choose to be your greatest possible self, imagine the team and the company and the corporation or the community that you get to impact because of that. Your constituents, your clients, your customers, because of that action. So potentially tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people will be impacted through your pursuit of your passion, of your dreams, of your joy, of your love, of that which fills you up. While if you stay in victim, in excuse, in blame, in justification, in playing small, that will not happen. And the question is, if two people, like if you get to the end of your life, at the end of your life, you're standing at quote unquote the gates of heaven or whatever, the afterlife, you get to see your soul, and you see that who you are is not who you knew you could have been. You kept taking those choices and those actions that were self-sabotage, that hurt yourself, that really were not in your highest and best good. And then standing next to you is the version of yourself, the greatest possible self, who took the actions, who had the discipline, who surrounded themselves with the best people, who got uncomfortable on a daily basis, taking action every single day on their dream. You're standing next to that person. What's the difference going to be between you and that person? The energy, the presence, the love of life, the fulfillment. Imagine how you would feel standing next to that person. You would feel crushed. You would feel disappointed. You would feel like you just wasted your one shot. So don't wait until the end of your life to start doing that, to start being your greatest possible self, to change your direction. Start today. Start right now. What's the new decision? What can you do right now? Can you give yourself a pat on the back right now and say, damn, I am awesome. Damn, I'm tuning into the Greatest Possible Self Marathon, and it is the best decision I ever made. Is that why you pat yourself on the back? Or maybe you pat yourself on the back, like literally, I swear, if you don't pat yourself on the back right now and you're listening to this, I'm going to be sad. But literally, like, put your hand on your back and do this more often, because there's an anchor, there's an energy of being willing to physically do something, to show yourself how much you love yourself, to comfort yourself, to put your hand on your shoulder and be like, wow, I am an amazing human being. I am doing my best. And you know what? I showed up today. I'm committed to learning. I'm committed to growing. I'm committed to surrounding myself with people who think like me, who think bigger than me. I'm committed to surround myself with people who even scare me at their level of freaking performance and their level of brilliance and their level of creativity and ingenuity and business skill. I'm grateful I surround myself with those kinds of people. 300 freaking guests on this 12-hour marathon. You think there's been some guests who are like intimidating to me? Hell yes. Hell yes. Some of these guests I'm like, wow. You know, and I take myself out of the game for even being able to support them, even being able to serve them. I closed the door before it had even begun, and who knows what they could have needed. Maybe I had a connection that they could have used, but because I didn't ask, how can I support you, or because I didn't follow up, because I didn't feel worthy in the past, then it didn't get done. And I wasn't able to make that difference for them, because I took myself out of the game beforehand. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a freaking journey. This is a journey. This is an adventure. This is a process, life. So it's important, one, that you acknowledge yourself for everything that you do, everything that is working, everything that is important, everything that is going the right way in the right direction in your life for you. So that's important. Acknowledgement, number one, but also forgiveness. Learn how to detach from the toxicity. Learn how to detach from the pain, from the suffering, from the emotional guilt and shame of everything that doesn't serve you. You must become a master at letting that stuff go. Surrendering your pain. Surrendering the suffering. Surrendering the guilt. Because until you become willing to do that, it's like you're carrying lead weights behind you, lead anchors, chained, you're shackled to your past, to these things that don't serve you, to the toxicity. You're taking it with you everywhere you go. So give yourself permission. Say, I give myself permission. Literally, out loud, say this. I give myself permission to forgive myself. I give myself permission to forgive myself. And then here's what you can say as well. Insert name here, like Chris Burns. I forgive you. Okay? Say blank, I forgive you. Chris Burns, I forgive you. I forgive you. Thank you. And then what do you want to commit to yourself? What do you want to commit to? Make a commitment to yourself. I commit to surrounding myself with better people. I commit to taking action every day on my business. I commit to not beating myself up when I don't show up how I know I'm capable of showing up, or when I don't show up how I expect to show up, or when I judge myself based on where I think I should be rather than where I am. What do you commit to? Give yourself that commitment. Say, Chris Burns, insert name here. Not Chris Burns, but your name. Blank name. I commit to you. And fill in the rest. Did you know? Did you know how amazing you are? Did you know how loved you are? How special you are? How talented you are? How gifted you are? How important you are? Your heart, your soul, your dream, all of it. And I refuse, Chris Burns, this is me, my word, my stand. I refuse to allow people to continue suffering, to continue believing that they don't matter, that their journey, their story, their life is insignificant. And I commit to you that I'm standing for each and every person around me to become their greatest possible self, as well as each and every person on this planet to have the choice to be their greatest possible self. Whether or not they choose it, that's up to them. But at the very least, each and every person has the choice, has the ability to be their greatest possible self. And that's my commitment to you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I am super excited to be fueling myself. If you found massive value in this, let me know. I see Matt throwing up some comments. Love it. Let's see what we got in here. Wow, there's a lot. Damn, there's a lot of comments. Okay, Michelle said, hey, Chris. Boom, boom, boom. I feel you. I was running away and numbing. So super proud of you to look within now. You're so right. Quality over quantity. It's so huge to change or positively influence someone's life. One life. That's where it starts. One person at a time. Butterfly effect. Powerful indeed. Knowing is so important. I get to start clapping to myself. Overflow yourself, because only when you can flow to others, only then can you flow to others. How beautiful. Your inner love and radiance is so showing from inside out. Wow, I just realized I was doing it too in my business. I was attracting people who weren't ready. Yay to your courage and clarity. Yes, yes, yes. You change people's lives in such an empowering way. Fuel yourself. Thank you for the reminder. Own your gifts. Own your impact. Dang, you're kicking my booty to go out there even more. Women need me. Lots of hearts. Hello. Yes. Hearts. Hey, Marlo Ellis. Oh, this was so powerful. Thank you, everyone. So much great feedback, and I highly recommend that you take some time to experience that pride, that acknowledgement of yourself for taking steps, and to not look at it as if you're being cocky or egotistical, but rather you're giving yourself that self-love and the self-care. And you know if you're someone who is cocky, and that's how people see you. You know that. You know that you use cockiness to cover up your insecurities. And then you also know if you play small and you're meek and you don't have pride and you're humble, which is, I think that there's an aspect of humility to engage in, and then there's a point where you must be proud of yourself. You must be. Nobody's going to do it for you. So I invite you to take a step in the direction of loving, authentic pride in yourself so that you can be filled up and fueled by who you are and what you're capable of. Because only then will you be super fueled. Not only will you be fueled, but you will be super fueled by yourself, by your internal love and drive. And what kind of results will that create in your life? Holy moly. Being around people who love you back just as much, attracting to you opportunities and positions, communities, places, things, circumstances that match your greatest possible self, or at least take you a step in the right direction. And you don't stay stuck. You don't stay stuck where you've been. You don't keep spinning your wheels. You don't stay at that plateau. You break through. And I'm so grateful I get to work with amazing clients like that who are willing to take that next step. I love working with my clients when they show up on time, when they show up ready to go on their calls, when they show up ready to break through, ready to peel away the onion, peel away the layers. I love when my clients are courageously attacking their dreams with zero freaking excuses. And if stuff comes up, they bring it up, they own it. They throw it on the table. They say, this keeps happening to me. I'm dealing with this. I want to break through it. I'm done with this. And there's a level of determination. There's a level of conviction. There's a level of vision of where they are going that will not allow them to stay stuck. So if that's you, if you're someone who's committed to influencing the world, committed to developing your abilities, your skills, your gifts, to make the maximum impact, to stop being comfortable, to stop being okay with what pace you've been going at, and to take it to the next level, to take your joy, your love, your performance, your appreciation of life, your connection to the next level, your relationships, your health, every aspect of your life. I'm excited to do that with you, and we can do that in the 21-day challenge or through one-on-one coaching, whatever serves you best. Let's talk about it. Send me a message. Let me know what you're working on, how you are up-leveling your life. What is your commitment? What is your vision that you are fulfilling on? I love you. I appreciate you. And I acknowledge you for showing up in life. Up till this point, you have been doing your best, and I believe you will continue doing your best. And it's especially important when you get offered the help, when someone stretches out their hand, that you receive it. I know back in time, I used to not receive that help. I used to close myself off before someone even stuck out their hand, closing off the possibility and the opportunity to move forward. So I know that you are already doing amazing things. I know that you are creating results in your life, and you're committed to getting to the next level. You're committed to breaking through whatever has stopped you, whatever resistance, whatever smallness, whatever comfortability, whatever justifications and reasons and excuses you've used to play smaller than you know you're capable of, because you know you have your greatest possible self within you, and it's time for you to bring it out. It's time for you to unleash, and it's time for you to live the life you've been hungry for, your soul has been yearning for, whatever that means to you. Relationships, income, wealth, travel, adventure, significance, impact, whatever that is for you. Freedom, fun, joy, whatever it is for you. Take the next step. Send me a message, I'm excited to work with you, and have the best day ever, the best week ever, the best year ever, because you deserve it. Sending lots of love. This is Chris Burns, Mr. Heartfire, bringing you another dose of GPS empowerment so that you can fuel yourself from within with your own super fuel of acknowledgement, of love, and appreciation. Be your greatest possible self.